In Sri Lanka, the demand is going and growing for the president to go. It's been called Sri Lanka's Arab Spring moment. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. Let's turn our attention to our southern neighbor, where the opposition and the people are rallying together demanding that President Rajapaksa's government resign. So far, the president has refused to step down and the opposition has refused to be part of a unity government. This has unprecedented street protests spill over into what's being described as the country's Arab Spring moment. All of this has come in the aftermath of Sri Lanka's worst economic crisis in its history. What or who after Rajapaksa? What about the India and the China factor? All of these questions and more to our special guest today, Sri Lanka's former Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremsinghe. Let's go straight across to him as we try and understand what could heal the island nation. Thank you very much, Mr. Wickremsinghe. It's a pleasure and honor to be speaking with you today. Let me start by asking you whether things are any better right now in terms of the economic distress. We've seen the long fuel lines. We've seen life-saving drugs run short in hospitals. How are things today at this moment, sir?
Well, the economic crisis is getting worse. As I mentioned, I think our reserves will go off by end of this month, and then there will also be the whole question of the Indian line of credit on fuel running out by the second week. The Indian line of credit will be out, and as a result, we are going to face a big crisis in regard to food, in regard to raw material, in regard to medicines, as you all have mentioned. Then this has fueled the political crisis. There has been a big demonstration, as you've seen last Saturday. It will taper off this week because it's the traditional Sinhala Tamil New Year, but it most probably will start the week after and build up again. So this is the position in Sri Lanka today.
Mr. Wickremsinghe, you have called this Sri Lanka's Arab Spring moment. What do you think is the eventual outcome of this? The Arab Spring led to a power and political sort of regime change, in Egypt. What do you think will happen in Sri Lanka? The opposition has refused so far, as you know, to be part of any unity government. The president is still refusing to resign.
The initiative is with the demonstrators, the young people, the middle class, the others who are joining them, farmers. The parliament has lost the initiative. So we will have to look at the demand of the young people out there. They want president to resign, go home, but now they are also turning their fire onto parliament. So we've got to think carefully before we act. Just reacting to parliamentary coups or parliamentary conspiracies alone will not do.
So you're saying that the old style politics will no longer work for the young protesters who are out on the street?
No, some new politics have to come. It's basically people are disenchanted and lost confidence in the political establishment as a whole. So it is more like Arab Spring, and it has no leaders. It's just going along.
It is more like an Arab Spring without leaders is accurately put. So what is the role for politicians such as yourselves in this crisis?
Well, I've made my suggestions on how to handle the situation. Especially the economic aspect. The rest is you've got to see how the political side of this is resolved. How is the president going to form a new cabinet? Some members of his group that resigned have gone and met him. They are trying to form a new government. Some of the main opposition parties some of them are talking with them. So that's the process that's going on there. I am not a party to that.
You spoke about the Indian credit line, ending. or about to end. What is the expectation from India at this point? India has invested enormously in its relations with Sri Lanka, but Indian leaders are also sort of reported to enjoy, as you know, not just good relations with people like yourselves, but also with the Rajapaksa family. At this point, what is the expectation of the Sri Lankan people from India?
No, India has helped. I mean, they gave us $1.5 billion so that we can tide over this period. We have to find the solutions. We have to go to the IMF, and what happens after mid-May is the issue.
What more should or can India be doing right now, non-financially? You've spoken about the financial help from India, but what is the other help that you would expect from India at this point?
Well, maybe helping us out with the IMF. Your people are there as the regional directors. So we have to look at what else can be done. This is a problem of Sri Lanka's making, and we have to get out of it.
Mr. Wickremsinghe, in India, there are concerns about the influence of China on your country. You've spoken about no new investment coming recently from China, but the data tells us that there are $11 billion worth of Chinese sort of funded projects there, whether it's Chinese debt or equity. How do you see the role of China at this point?
No, China has always been close to Sri Lanka as Japan, and Japan and China are the two major, as far as we are concerned, are two major creditors nationwide. But our biggest debt is to the ISPs, to the World Bank and ADB. Thereafter comes China and Japan. In addition, China has some big investments here. But we don't allow, certainly we shouldn't and we won't allow friendship with China to have an adverse impact on India, because both our countries have to be concerned on each other's security.
But you see that it won't have an adverse impact. But when we look at ports such as the Hambantota port, the fact that it was handed over to the Chinese port authorities, how would you look at China's role in this crisis at this moment?
Well, actually, we have given a lease of the port to a company in which we have a minority stake. Security is the responsibility of the Sri Lankan Navy and the Sri Lankan government. So security will be ours, the police is ours. Well, actually, we have the same company, China Merchants, operating a terminal in Colombo, and no one has complained about it. It's the same. They operate the terminal, and we look after security, the port. So it's the same arrangement, whether it's Hambantota or Colombo, and no one complained of Colombo.
Yes, but your country today is also, in a sense, looking towards both India and China, or even if it's not looking, both India and China are looking towards it. How do you manage this relationship, especially in a time of crisis?
No, we have Japan. Japan has been helping us a long period, and the biggest, I think, as far as the soft loans are concerned, they've given us the biggest amount of assistance. So I would say Japan, China, and India. We had close relations with UK, but with Brexit and all this, I think they're moving away from the Commonwealth countries. We deal with the EU and America, but these are maybe the three closest countries to us economic-wise.
Yes, there is a move or a feeling in some leaders of the opposition that now is the time to diminish the powers of the presidency in Sri Lanka. Is that something that you would support? Because Sri Lanka has an executive presidency where the president is all powerful, despite the fact that you have the post of prime minister, which you have occupied. Would you be in favor of such a dramatic change? It would, of course, need a constitutional amendment.
I have opposed the 20th amendment, but as far as this is concerned, our first reaction has to be to the economic crisis, and that's what we have to deal with, and also with the political crisis where people have lost faith in the political establishment. Just changing faces will not do. if they have lost confidence in all the phases. So we've got to deal with the issue of the lack of confidence in the political establishment and just tackle the economic issue. People must eat. There must be medicine. There must be fuel. It's useless trying to change the constitution without tackling these issues. So it is not as high on my priorities as these two issues are.
Well, let's return to the crisis and what may happen in Sri Lanka's parliament this week. You say parliament has lost the initiative. The answer must be found in a new kind of politics. What do you think that answer might look like? How does Sri Lanka emerge immediately, as you said, from the shadows of this crisis?
I don't know. I can't say what it is and how it will react, because basically, what will they think of parliament? Will they want some of us to go? I don't know. So the way we have conducted ourselves last week certainly didn't appeal to the younger people out there. First, we have to show that we are serious in resolving the issues and addressing the question of confidence. I don't know. As far as I am concerned, I am looking on a side because I feel that that's the role that I can play. And if the youth say all of us to go, then we'll have to look at what we are going to do. I don't. Either we have to win their trust and work with them, or get them to work with us. Otherwise, it doesn't matter whether you stay in parliament or whether you go out of parliament.
So, sir, you're actually suggesting that parliament, all of parliament, not just the ruling party, but even the opposition, may have to step out of the way if that's what the young people on the street want.
Well, it's not merely a question of what the young people in the street want, but at the moment, most of the populace are backing them. So but on the other hand, I realize we just can't have elections at the moment. We have to sit down and address the needs of the population. The youth are leading them, but there's the middle class others. How do we address them? It's not a question of us arguing with each other in the chamber, fighting with each other in the chamber, or trying to bring amendments to the constitution, or trying to form interim governments. All that is secondary to the fact that we have to talk with them. You can't have a situation in which the majority of the population electorate has lost faith in the parliament and the president. So parliament can still play that role.
Yes. Final question to you, Mr. Wickremsinghe. This has been a moment which has united Sri Lankans. It has united them, across ethnic and religious lines. What do you think may emerge from this moment of unity on the streets?
I don't know. I can't say yet. As I told you, there'll be a tapering off this week, and then it will build up again. That's the time to watch it.
All right, Mr. Ranil Wickremsinghe, your country is certainly at an inflection point in its history. We appreciate you taking the time out at such a moment. And as you said, the change needed is dramatic, cosmetic tinkering, and even elections at this moment of crisis will not do. We'll have you back as the situation becomes clearer. Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.